Hi everyone, my name is Ayinbono Apusiga. I'm from Boga and I work at Sun Hospital. So I was placed at University of Minnesota Public Management, and I must say this Mandela Washington Fellowship has been a great experience. I'm saying this because I really learned how to network so well, and some of these network, even after the fellowship, I've secured an extra job. I've met some people who constantly exposed me to scholarship opportunities and other opportunities. Among my fellows that I met, yes, some of them are so smart. They have other abilities that I'm also tapping into. Some occasionally also call me to ask for certain things. So this how Mandela Washington Fellowship is worked. It's one of the best fellowships you can think about. And so going forward in my future as a nurse, as somebody who aspires to be a public health expert, I think this is right for me because I'm really getting those right connections into that area. That's really a very difficult question to say, but I believe that the fellowship looks at two basic things: what you are doing and what you intend to do in future. And so, as somebody who is already into community engagement, volunteerism, and other innovations to bring relief to the masses, I believe that after the embassy met me at the interview session and listened to me, they realized that I'm somebody who could help solve most of society's problem. And this is what I noticed about all the fellows that I met, both in Ghana and in the US. I noticed that everybody had a passion that they were really so much into, and you could see the zeal in propelling the continent Africa. So I believe these are the basic things that makes one stand out to be a Mandela Washington Fellow. And so if you are somebody who is already into something that you are doing to bring relief to people, it could be education, it could be at your health, it could be at your workplaces. There are a whole lot of things that we as leaders are doing, and so this is something I believe that made me stand out amongst the lot here. So with the application tips, I would like to say these things. Before you start the application, you have to know that there are three tracks. There are three tracks that you have to write about. So we have leadership in public management, leadership in civic engagement, and then leadership in business. So you have to know which of them you belong. I went to leadership in public management, though I do some sort of civic engagement. So you need to know which of them you belong to. So the public management is open to everybody in the public service who is doing one way or the other to improve his or her immediate surrounding. So we had teachers who were into administrative stuff and we're doing a whole lot of things to also improve. We had a pharmacist who were also in their field trying to improve their immediate. So it's all about people who are taking initiative. It's not about just going to work, closing from work and going home, just doing the routine. You need to do something extra to qualify for these things. If we talk about the business, these were people who are into business, bringing innovative ideas to improve upon business. So one of the people I'll just acknowledge is Hetty Boateng of Be My Honey, who is processing honey for as her business strategy. And you just realize that she's bringing innovation into this honey packaging. There were a whole lot of people too, like Dr. Evans Dia. Shout outs to him, one amazing gentleman I've come to love so much with the kind of things he do. So in the business track, I've just given that. We also had people in the public management. We had people who were, even in my track, my institution, we had a pastor who uses his pastoral works to transform the youth around him. Yes, we also had some doctors. We had some who were already into NGOs. We had some who were into women empowerment, some gender-based violence, and the rest of the things. So you need to choose your track. Identify the track you choose, and there's a portion you choose 3 tracks. So you have to prioritize the tracks. So I made public management was my first track, and again civic engagement because of the hepatitis B advocacy I do and other advocacies I do. So these were the tracks I chose. And business, of course, I'm not into business, so I chose business as my last track. Yeah. So these are the things you need to do. And again, when you are writing about your impact, because there's a place they will really ask for impact. I wish I could run you through how I did my application. So the application is in several parts. We have the first side is just the general information. That one I wouldn't go into it. It's about your name, your more like bio data, where you come from, and they'll ask some simple questions. And yeah, and also make sure you have an active passport before you even start the application. Yeah, or even if you've applied, you have to make your passport available because the passport will be needed at the interview stage. The other part will be your contact information. You need to put your phone numbers, your email address, and an alternate email address, where you come from, and all that. Yeah, so there's also another place like eligibility where you answer so many questions on that. They'll ask you what is your country of citizenship, so you have to indicate where you come from. And of course, I'm from Ghana, so you have to put all these things. And yeah, they'll ask whether if you're a US citizen or a US permanent resident. All these things are things that you should, they are straightforward things, so I wouldn't talk. Then where the institute track, that's where I said that we have first choice, second and third choice. So you need to know which of them you are so much into before you can even start your application. Then the current professional educational experience. So they'll ask, what is your highest level of education? So of course, my highest level of education is bachelor's degree. Others, I had lots of PhD fellows in Ghana, as well as those who came from other countries, yeah, and those who met in US, yeah. So they'll ask questions on your educational. So these are also straightforward. Then they'll ask, select up to 5 sectors from the list below in which you have expertise or interest. Doing so will help us better understand your professional area of focus. So I do civic engagement, civic education. Because of the hepatitis B screening and others, we move to communities, we move to churches, we move to senior high school, SHS, and talk to them about viral hepatitis. We move to the communities to also offer free hepatitis B screening for them and offer a subsidized vaccination. I also do other policy advocacy. So as you are aware, as many of you may be aware, I did an advocacy for the aged in Ghana for the scrub of penalty on their expired NHIS cards, which was passed, which was announced on the 1st of July, that from 1st of July this year they were not going to. There are other public advocacies I've done. Public health, I'm also into public health, so I do lots of public health in terms of going to the radio station often to talk about rabies, NCDs, we talk about what? Yeah, anything, breastfeeding, jaundice, prematurity. I do lots of this education on air. Yeah, so they'll ask how many years have you work experience, and then you put, so the rest are just others. So what best describes your current title? So yeah, I'm a civil servant and I also work in a public organization. Yeah, what best describes the field in which you currently work? So I work as a nurse, but I do most of public health and stuff. So yeah, so I put public health. So they'll ask for your US travel, whether you've traveled to US before. I've never been to US. That was my first time. This fellowship took me to US, yes, and I really enjoyed the experience. I hope you also enjoy the experience where you are selected. It's a lifetime experience. Then they'll ask for your English native and go all over. So all those things, you answer them as they are. Then the real application begins. So the real application has to do with the first part. I'm using last year application. The first part was personal state. Then they'll say, please give a brief description of any major professional accomplishment within the last year and your long-term goals and aspirations, why you have chosen this work. So in my case, one of my greatest professional accomplishment was working with a team to nurse a preterm baby that was 0.7 kg in Sanamo Hospital. Around that time, we are a district hospital and we do not have all the expertise to manage these cases, but I'll be able to do that. It didn't go beyond just managing the cases, but I did constant follow-up on this child until the child was 8 kilograms. I did a story and published, and Quaker took it up and they discussed it in one of their Quaker Ministry of Health, UNICEF. They had their mid-year annual review and had a discussion about it. One other accomplishment I achieved was being the best nurse for my region for 2020, Upper East Regional Best Nurse. Yes, so don't be distracted to think that the fellowship is all about awards. No, you don't have to win awards. They need to know your impact, what you are doing, and what is still in you. So whatever you are writing should bring out what you've done and what you intend to do. So my career aspiration has always been to be a public health nurse, a public health specialist, which I'm really working towards that, to achieve that. Yeah, so they'll ask based on the second question was about, and they try to read the questions well, because sometimes they come with a scenario before they ask the real question. So they, based on your understanding of your preferred track of study, what skills and knowledge do you hope to gain from the fellowship that you would not be able to develop through other educational training? How will you use these skills and that knowledge to adapt to your activities in your home country and or community within the next 5 years? So you underline the keywords. How will you use those? So you are looking at the skills that you learn. You learn at the fellowship that you not learn it anywhere, and you are looking at how will you use those skills. So how are you going to use that skill and the knowledge to adapt to your activities in your home countries within the next? So they are talking about 5 years. So all your answers should be based on what you think the fellowship can give you. So for instance, I really spoke about learning about networking, extensive networking. I'm not saying right that, but I'm just telling you about my application. So I felt that, and because of my interest in hepatitis B, I really wanted to have interaction with people in that area in the US, because this is something that will be very difficult for you to read just around, but interact with people already there. And I did have that. So I understood how hepatitis is managed in the US. I also understood how things revolving around hepatitis works in the US. And so yeah, so my aim is that how will you use those skills and knowledge to adapt your activities in your home country? So yeah, so I wanted to use this when I understand these policies, and I could use them also to beat down the prevalence of hepatitis B in Ghana, which is hovering around 12.3%. So still on sharing my experience, so public and community service are essential responsibility for leaders. What communities do you most hope to reach and engage through your work? How are you working towards this goal now? And what else do you hope to accomplish? So this was where I had to put my flagship programs. That is the viral hepatitis B campaign program. Yes. So I had to tell them what I'm doing, how I started it. So I started this hepatitis. And please know the word limit. They'll tell you 100 words. Don't exceed 100 words, but you can write up to 100 words. They'll tell you 500 words. Don't exceed the 500 words, but write within up to 500. They are very serious with the word limit. When they don't write extend, just give them the actual detail. It could be 100, but you need to, that's what I'm saying, don't tell them stories. Link your stories to impact. Let them appreciate the impact you've really done. Everybody can do hepatitis B screening, but this is the impact I'm making. So the impact is that I'll be able to, through my advocacy, we'll be able to offer vaccinations to people. So in a way, to a good number, to close to 3,000 people. And the free screening, we've done it for over 4,000 people. So if we've done this, if we hadn't taken this intervention, it means that all these 3,000 people would have been exposed to hepatitis B infection. But through our initiative, we'll be able to break that chain of transmission. And again, before we started this education, there were people around who were managing it in their own way. But today, we have contributed. I'm not saying we are the cause of that, but we've contributed in a way to ensure that people use the actual way. People consult their physicians. People don't resort to the herbal preparations. and this in a way is going to minimize complications. So you see that I'll be able to tell them I'm doing hepatitis B screening, and I've really linked these things up to impact. That's the impact I'm really making. So I believe you're also doing something in your workplace, in your communities, with your NGO and with your business, but you need to link it with impact. Try to bring the impact aspect. Like others were journalists in some of our cohorts, they were journalists. They were not just going to sit on radio and do the news, but they go to the various communities and write about stories. Tina Mulika, for instance, the first time I watched her videos on her channel, Tina Reports, I was so impressed because she goes to the communities, and her kind of journalism is to identify social problems and broadcast it for help, and she's getting help through that. So this is what you are looking for. You are not just a journalist, but your journalism is impactful. So this is what, if you are writing your applications, this is what you have to do. If you have data, try to fuse the data into your application. If you've done this, try to project the data. Try to tell them how many people you've impacted, how many people you've done, and let them really know that, yeah, this is somebody who is really out there, and somebody who, when we give the next opportunity, will do their best. Yeah. So they spoke about Mandela. Another question, where they talk about values, the fellowship values diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yes, this is true. So they want to know how you've committed yourself to that. So in my case, the screening I do, we move to the Christian, Muslims. We meet the physically impaired, visually impaired. We meet all sort of people, and we really don't discriminate. We really don't discriminate against any of them. We don't discriminate against anybody. We attend to them equally. So they spoke about, the next one has to do with, do not judge me by my sources, judge me by how many times I fell there and got back. So always take, the scenarios are there, but the question itself is there. So Nelson Mandela said, do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. Strong leaders are able to effectively handle challenges. The COVID-19 global health pandemic has posed significant challenges, both globally and locally. Describe a specific instance when the pandemic or its repercussions posed a problem that helped you grow as a leader. What did you do? And how are you applying these lessons learned from this experience? Yes, so what quickly came to my mind was that there was this 2-year-old who died in my ward, and I noticed that around that time, attendance was really very low. So what did I have to do? I had to find out from the mother of this. It was very challenging because somebody is already bereaved and you are asking. So she told me that the child wasn't having insurance, so that caused the delay at home. So I needed to go to that community to find out, are there other children in this community who are not having insurance? So after doing that, I noticed that there were some, and include the aged. So I was able to raise some funding, and we're able to enroll, renew, replace, and enroll, and the total number was 241. So this is what I did during the COVID, and I also went on radio to do campaigns. One other thing that struck me so hard was that when I noticed attendance was low, and I noticed people were already suffering with the lockdown, and so people couldn't go out to renew their cards, I had to write a letter to the CEO of National Health Insurance, trying to explain to her that yes, this is it. So if you could give us the waiver, because already people are struggling in COVID. If you could give us a waiver, I think my argument made sense. She called me. I had a call from her office acknowledging that they will work on it, and Ghana had 3 months of waiver around that time on expired cards. So I also went on air to do more education to tell people that in as much as your card has expired for a very long time, you could still renew and have health care. And people really benefited from that. So this was something challenging I noticed around COVID, and I took an initiative, and yes, it made for me. So these questions will talk about impact. So try to bring about impact. And so to me, I've really done so many things, and so at all times I try to link any of the things I've done into that. I know you are also doing so much, and so try to link one of the amazing things you are doing. this fellowship is looking for leaders, and so you must demonstrate that leadership is about influence. How do you influence things around you? Are you the type that when a log falls on the road and everybody comes and jumps, you also jump over? Or you are the type that will say, hey, come on guys, let's pick this log up and pave way so that the next person could come? Are you the type when you notice that something is left down, or you notice there are rubbish in your surroundings, you also look or contribute to the rubbish? Or you are the type who say, hey, come on guys, we really don't need this rubbish here, can we do this ABCD to clear that? Are you the type? So this is about leadership. You see something and you don't pass by, others see and pass by, but you are a different breed altogether. So they'll ask about PDE, professional development experience. So I applied for this, I didn't get. We had 3 people from our cohort in Ghana out of 32 who were chosen for the PDE. So in all, up to 100 people were chosen. So they'll ask you, do you want to apply for the PDE? Then you say yes or no. So if you say no, that ends. If you say yes, there's another, they will try to find out why you need the PDE. Then you talk about that. There's a place for optional supplemental document. So they ask you to upload any document. So I uploaded a commendation letter I had from my hospital. So that's what I uploaded. I took a scan of it and uploaded. It was a letter commending me for some of the initiative I've done for the hospital, some of the things I've really done, the donations I've brought on board, and other things like that. Yeah, so the last part is your CV. The CV too is also straightforward. They will just ask professional experience. So you talk about from present, you start from when you started working. So I worked in Sanum Hospital. What I do, I was the head of my unit, and there were 18 staff under my supervision. So you talk about all that, your activities, what do you do? So you talk about what you do at your work site. Try to let it bring impact. Then the education, yes, I attended University of Ghana. Yes, I graduated with first class honors. So you speak about that, and I wrote a dissertation on knowledge and practice of triage among nurses. I also won an award at the school there. I was a member of the General Assembly of the nursing students. I was also a leader of some groups within the School of Nursing. I volunteered on several occasions at the school. So, University of Ghana at 70, I took part, SRC week, I took part in all screening activities. I did so many screening activities, not less than 10, but I just listed the prominent ones. Yeah. So they will talk about other professional training and certifications. So I've had training on cancer, training on malaria. That's still on the CV. Prevention of mother-to-child transmission of hepatitis B. I've had training on that. So you try to explain, don't just list them. Try to explain, and at times link. After the training, what happened? Did you just sit down? So in the case of the cancer, after the training on the early warning signs of and symptoms on childhood cancer, I demonstrated leadership, because after the training, we were able to identify 2 cancer cases in our hospital, and this is a plus. With possible cancer, and refer them. So this is a plus of the training. The malaria training, you need to try to explain. It's not just about having a training, but after having a training, how do you put the training to use? So that should feature in your activities. Community and volunteer work. So this one, try to list all the voluntary activities that you do. So for instance, I founded Impact Mission Ghana, and so far I've done 4,000 free screening. Yes, we've won awards through that. I've featured in World Hepatitis Alliance, True Hepatitis Alliance of Ghana. I was called for a documentary. Just this July, I submitted a picture for a contest, and I won $150 for my group. Yes, and it keeps coming. And I also there's a program we call You and Your Health on Radio Busa in Sanama. I'm a regular panelist, and I go there to talk about several conditions. So these are voluntary stuff. There's also a non-communicable disease clinic, which I was part from the beginning. Yes, I was part and still part of that clinic. So we meet every month. We meet people with hypertension, diabetes, obesity and stuff, and we educate them, we review their medication and all that. So there's also Another voluntary aid à la vulnerability. I volunteered twice at Navrongo Central Prison, where we did health screening. I gave health talk on hepatitis. Yes, and I assisted them do the screening and everything. So these are things that I need to put there. There's also a place for awards and honors, fellowship grants, and or scholarships. So I've had, at the time of applying, I'd received 2 awards. Plus the university one, so 3, social innovator in health, Upper East Regional Business, yeah. And so I needed to explain what social innovation in health is all about. So they are in 17 countries in across the globe. University of Ghana is those leading the agenda, and they have partners like World Bank, UNICEF. They have so many partners. So I was called to give a talk on this viral hepatitis, my innovation in northern Ghana, and my works were projected together with the team. Were projected, yeah. So yeah, I also won the most influential nursing student at University of Ghana. I did so many things as a student. I wasn't even like an elected leader, but I was a student leader. So that's how leadership is not about being elected. It's about being influenced, using your influence, taking initiatives to solve problems. And so this is what I did. So there's also a place for professional skills, languages. They will ask for your languages, software. Yes, so I have knowledge on learning management systems, Microsoft, social media, virtual learning platform, associations and affiliations. Yeah. So so I'm a member of Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwife Association. I joined Pediatric Society of Ghana. I'm also a member of I was a member of University of Ghana Nurses and Midwives Association, that's UGAMSA. I've also been a member of Non-Communicable Disease Clinic. Yes, so these are things I'll have to list. And so, in brief, or it's not brief, I think I've really gone. Probably I may be fast, but I needed to run you through this. So you could just, like, the baseline is just to use what you do and attach impact to it. This is what will make you stand out, and I believe that these were some of the things the embassy read and called me and gave me the opportunity to be a fellow. Thank you. My final words, I would like to say that don't be deterred about the numbers. This fellowship is a merit-based fellowship. I don't know anybody at the US embassy. I don't have any family relation. I don't know it. I didn't pass through any connection. So it's merit-based, and I must say it's competitive. But believe in yourself and pray to God. Pray to God that God will see you through this application process. Before you apply, you have to pray to God. Know that whilst you are praying, over 4,000 people are also praying. So you pray, and you also put in more energy. Let somebody proofread your work. Don't just write and submit, and ensure that you avoid the first person singular. I wish to. No. Don't use the first person singular. You could use the third person. So try to avoid the first person singular. I, and ensure that somebody proofreads your work. Proofreading is key. It's like ruling a straight line. When you rule, no matter how good you are, you may not see your back to know how it is. Somebody reading it may notice that, because try to avoid grammatical errors at most. Just few of them are acceptable, but don't have too much. And don't write big English. It's not the big English that I wrote simple English. So you don't have to write big English, yeah. So you can really make it. And I wish you the very best of luck. I wish to see you join the Alumni Association by 2023. We are hoping to have you on board the US Alumni Association. Thank you so much, and I wish you God's speed, God's blessing, God's guidance and wisdom throughout your application process. Thank you.